Thank you very much for the Board of Supervisors for the opportunity to speak tonight on this resolution. I think one of the most important things that we all need to take into consideration with this is that when we look at the Second Amendment, this wasn't written by people that had just come back from a robust hunting trip. They had just come back from actually having to defend their rights against a tyrannical government. And I think there's a lot of times where we kind of glaze over when we think about the idea of why the Second Amendment exists in the first place. This is not about hunting, it's not about gun collecting. It is about each human being's inherent right to be able to defend themselves. And one of the things I just do not understand about this argument, because when we look at some of the bills that are actually going before the General Assembly this year, we're not just talking about the same old stuff that we've seen the last several years. We're actually talking about legislation that would potentially put law-abiding citizens in a situation. If I have a 17-year-old daughter, which I do, and she actually has to pick up a firearm in order to defend herself because someone is kicking in the door in our house in rural Culpeper, is she now a criminal? According to SB 16, she may very well be, or I might be a criminal since it was my firearm. These are the sort of unintended consequences that don't seem to be taken into consideration when these bills are written. But it goes beyond even more than that. We've already seen the sheriff speak. We've had a lot of veterans in the audience tonight. And one of the things that I have always found very interesting about the experience of U.S. military veterans is the oath that we swear. The oath is not to the President of the United States. It's not to a king. It's to the Constitution of the United States. It's to an idea. And the idea that I would have to tell friends of mine that I served with in combat who are still serving in combat, I would have to tell them that upon their arrival home, having gone overseas, having fought for their country, having put themselves in between those who would harm the United States, that the very rights that they went over to protect could now be infringed upon, that it could be their own law enforcement personnel, their own neighbors wearing the uniform of a sheriff's deputy or a town police officer coming through their door to confiscate their property. That is an injustice. We have an obligation at all levels of government, and what I am asking for you to do today is at your level of government, as Bryce Reeves, myself, and others continue to fight at the State House, I am asking that this Board of Supervisors make it clear under no uncertain terms that we will always be a nation, we will always be a commonwealth that recognizes the inherent right of free people to be able to defend themselves, and that we will brook no aggression from a government or anyone else that would strip us of that right. So I thank you for your service on this board, and I ask for passage of the resolution.